all I could see in this was the absolute horror of what's actually happening. What in the world did I just witness? My life suddenly became an actual movie. Woo, hi, hello. This one is fresh as it just happened. It was so surreal to experience, so much so that I literally did not even miss a beat, so much so that my heart is racing making this. However, holy moly, what a surreal experience that I absolutely need to document here. So give me a minute to maybe take a breath, throw an edit of transition in here, and we'll get into the video while I catch my breath. Okay, so I may have to treat this experience with a bit of care because I basically cannot mention any of the details that would be really juicy and wonderful to mention, because on some level, this experience boils my blood on a deep, emotional, spiritual, at one point traumatic for me in my life level. And then there's also the other level of me, you know, I'm a lover of people. I'm a people for the people. I am a people for the people. Yes, you get my point. I'm a person who speaks for the people, no matter what. And like, as you may have guessed by being here by now, yeah, I'm here to speak the truth. And that has always been part of the unintentional or intentional, I guess, by my higher self plan for this channel, is to speak truth, no matter whether that's an uncomfortable truth. And I'll be honest, sometimes, like right now, this is an uncomfortable one. So like I said, let me drop into this situation for a minute, because like I said, this was so surreal to watch. And I'm going to talk about it in the most vague and respectful way that I can, while still attempting my best to explain how incredibly surreal this experience was to witness. Because again, this was an experience that happened in real life. Like, yes, I'm telling you about it on video. It was so surreal. So part one about this story is that, I don't know, maybe like a year and a half ago to 2 years ago, I saw some strange movie, and I'll have to look up, maybe I will look up when I'm editing this video, this strange movie. I want to say it was on Netflix. Yes, I was at that particular point in my life going down a Netflix hole for that evening. This was, like I said, about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Anyway, I found this crazy, bizarre movie, which, and again, I have to be careful how I word and put this. Essentially, it outlined in a way the almost very experience that I had had with some folks in a spiritual setting. We'll just leave it that vague. When I tell you that this movie mirrored it so well and so accurately that it was spooky, I'm not kidding. So how does that tie into what I'm sitting here sharing with you now? I can barely catch my breath for how breathtakingly gaslighting this experience was for someone. Well, maybe my position is a bit unique. However, for someone in my position with my type of what we'll label as spiritual trauma, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, so how can I condense what happened? We were called in for an inner circle meeting. And I won't give any details away because, like I said, I'm pretty sure all sorts of legal stuff would flag up if I did. However, this spiritual circle that I used to travel in, this company, because that is what they are, is taking advantage of people's emotional situations, psychological situations for their own gain. And I'm wondering, in as I'm saying this, I'm hearing myself putting together various pieces. And I'm thinking to myself, this makes sense to me. Will this make sense to the people watching? And all I can really say is I hope so, because I know that I jumped on here to actually record this because of how incredibly much, like, y'all, my life suddenly became an actual movie. It was as if instead of me sitting there on a Zoom call, no, which was what was happening, by the way. It was like a real call, you know what I'm saying? And like real people are actually on the other side of this. This is not virtual yet, thank the maker. And that the events that played out within were so, and the things that were said And again, if you're conscious, you're like very aware of things spoken, you know, the food that you're feeding or being fed, and whether or not to accept that information. When I tell you that I watched just so much manipulation of people's spirituality, manipulation of people's emotionality and psychologicalness, whatever. I know I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know the terminology. However, the manipulation of people's minds, pocketbooks, all within one beautiful dream of, you know, well, what if, which found me thinking about what I may have titled this video. In fact, you know, screwing all the algorithms and whatever, what I may well title this is what I kept on thinking the entire time, which was something that I actually almost jokingly to myself noted down in a notebook, which is, and what if the moon is made of cheese? It was the most, I know that we all sort of joke around about how politicians sort of say they're going to do all these things and then don't do any of them. And it's sort of like a joking point. When I tell you this was the spiritual equivalent of that, just absolute manipulation, gaslighting, pulling on people's emotional strings, the promises of things that will, who knows if they'll ever come to pass. It was mind-blowing to the point that I found myself, who has been of late especially very well grounded. I found myself asking, how are people believing this? And I know it's sort of a terrible reference to make. People have said it, so I don't know if I can find something else to convey this, I will. It's like I found myself sitting there going, how are so many people still drinking this Kool-Aid, thinking that this particular individual is going to make these dreams of theirs come true? Because look, here's the point of this, guys. You all know, I hope at least, that I am pro your dreams, pro being happy, pro being in love, being in joy, following your joy, all of the things you've heard me say many, many a time over the last while. My point is, you guys know that I'm in favor of this, that if for real, that I don't just say it, that I actually go out and do these things and live my joy to the best of my abilities, essentially, in my health, right? And when I tell you the fire inside of me, watching genuine manipulation of, when I tell you that these people were imploring, essentially, all of the senses, all of the ways of getting someone addicted, they were turning life into a game. And I actually mean that on not even a like joking sense. I have to say that even on a gut instinct level, and y'all know I've mentioned it, that I'm a gamer, and I have put in footage lately of me playing some games whilst I was sick, for example. So y'all know maybe what a deep root this is kind of pulling and really grinding my gears on. So again, I just witnessed, in the name of love and in the name of connection, so-called, let me speak the speak and then walk a whole different walk when I'm in my real life. Unbelievable. It really made me question my sanity. And I was sat there, honestly, feeling kind of frustrated and angry, because I'm like, the fact that people that I know and love are still involved in this circle and are buying and drinking this Kool-Aid. That was the reference I wasn't wanting to make. We say when people are drinking the Kool-Aid, when they're really buying into something, there are people that are so incredibly invested in this. And all I could see, y'all, all I could see in this was the absolute horror of what's actually happening, which is that a freaking mass of people are being led. Look, like I said, I'm all for your dreams, the healthy, natural way, which there is to get there. Right? And we've talked about the thing late, especially lately, if you saw my video, that the whole getting there is finding out that it's actually about being here. So to watch, who knows how many people, thousands of people, be emotionally and spiritually and pulled in virtually every method possible, manipulated. That's the only way I can say that. There is no nicer way. I'm sorry. Manipulated into believing that there is more to come. I was actually writing notes, guys. And perhaps in the following vlog, I will do a follow-up to this if anyone cares about, perhaps I will even title it things like buzzwords to look out for if you're in a spiritual circle that are signs of trouble or something like that. because, or maybe I need to make a video about the spiritual trauma that I'm referencing, which I have not done on this channel and was never planning to do, and have debated many a time over whether I should do or not. And I'm now again questioning that, and that's something I'll need to sit with for the purposes of this video and moving on. It was unbelievable I'm not exaggerating or inflating this in any way. I'll probably sit on maybe parts of this video for who knows how long, because I'm not sure about the ethics of anything, or if I can just perhaps tell this without using any pictures, and maybe I'll just leave it at that. Just know, though, that it was like the most unbelievable manipulation I have actually witnessed to date in my life, and it's so incredibly dangerous. So here's the thing that may seem non sequitur to what I'm talking about. Not too long ago, I was on YouTube and I happened to notice, not so coincidentally notice, this video about a gal who had a near-death experience. Now, my own religious or spiritual or whatever views being put aside, because y'all know, I think anyway, that I'm more spiritual than any one particular religion. I sort of believe bits of lots of things. And I caught this video, and essentially, and I know this may sound wild to some of you, this may exactly be like, you might be as, well, I don't know, you might feel it as much as I did, this message. Essentially what she said was, and I'm very much summarizing what she said in this video, however, the main take home was that she connected to Jesus while she was having this near-death experience, and Jesus showed her this vision of essentially all of us people staring like robots into our phones. You know, everybody head down staring at their phone, their little bitty device, you know, literally like not seeing surroundings around them. And something, I don't remember the exact wording of the conversation she had with Jesus. It was something along the lines of, you know, they were talking about how humans have literally lost touch and he can't even reach them anymore because they don't look out of their devices. And I sat back and I went, OM gosh, like seriously. And I know nobody talks like that, by the way. Apparently I do. And I sat back and was like, holy crap, that is exactly accurate to what is happening. And again, to tie that to what I'm talking about, essentially these people, knowingly or unknowingly, and I have to believe they know, were convincing everyone there for actually a whole variety of reasons. They were basically playing to everyone's individual, personalized, like most epic dream ever, which is a very, very addictive drug to sell. Dreams. Dare I say, a never-ending well, which is why it's so dangerous, especially in spirituality. Anyway, essentially what they were saying was, and encouraging was, for each person there to purchase a device by which they would connect to a virtual reality, which we all know is not the outside, you go into nature, you touch a leaf, you feel it on your face, you feel the wind on your skin. No matter how much I'm a gamer and I love virtual reality on some level, I haven't even stepped into that world. And there's a reason for it. Many reasons, actually. And listening to that, I couldn't help but think of this movie, which I will not give the energy to, because frankly, this one particular individual is doing enough of that on their own. However, the essence of the movie is that people end up in this movie essentially being hooked up to devices. And that becomes, in fact, there even was a movie that predates that with, oh, I want to say the wrong name. I don't want to fall asleep. Freaking, what is his name? Help me, editing me. Insert his name. Armageddon guy. The point was, oh, right, I was talking about like Armageddon and things, although that wasn't actually my point. The actor, though, the actor is the one who was in this movie that predates the one that I'm not going to mention, which is where all people and all these households all around the world have become so addicted and hooked into their devices that they are like basically in virtual reality at all times. AKA not going out to hug a tree or play in the sand or meet a caterpillar or a butterfly or help a shelter animal or whatever are these real life things that we do out there in the real, tangible, I love you, so I'm going to give you a very real hug way. And it was terrifying to watch these people, like I said, play on every aspect of what would pull a human towards something. They pulled every possible string. And what was scary for me was that I'm awake. So I heard all the buzzwords and all the buzz cues, which is why, again, I say if you're interested, we'll do a whole follow-up video on that. I guess I will purposefully also turn this into something where I just mention all of the notes that I wrote and like how crazy it was, because I was writing notes. Half the notes were on the information and the other half was my moments being like, what am I witnessing? What is happening? My brain is hitting my forehead at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Like, you've got to be making this up. This cannot be real. Like, what? And y'all, I mean, I'm fully sane and fully awake. And yeah, I'm getting in my passionate voice. I'm hearing that too. Thank you for that, spirit. Y'all, I'm not crazy. Like, I'm genuinely not crazy. I know we joke around a lot because my sense of humor is pretty wild. Still, y'all know, in a very real sense, I'm very down to earth. I'm here with y'all. I'm living the life. I'm actually a person like y'all. And all I could see in this scenario that they were basically encouraging was all these people hooking into this device, you know, around the world, and their virtual lives becoming so much more important than, you know, the tangible stuff, the stuff that we can literally taste and touch and be real with. And that, to me, like I said, even as a gamer who appreciates very hyper-realistic type stuff, this was scary. Scary, Mary. It really was. That is not the direction that humanity ought to be moving right now in my view. And I think if you're here sharing this space, my guess is you agree that the plants, the nature of it all, are important, and we shouldn't just abandon our planet in the pursuit of all things technological. Now, look, y'all also know, you know that, hi, here I am on the internet on the channel with a phone. Yes, I know this means technology is in my life. However, there's a line, people. And I think it's a very dangerous line that they're crossing, because they really are crossing into the realm of, let's make very matrixy, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it in this exact moment, very, very literally matrixy. Here, come play in this absolutely idyllic world for you. I'm sorry, but that is like shooting someone up with the best drugs imaginable. And like, that is the carrot on a stick of all carrot on sticks. That is like, if you played Minecraft, that's like the golden carrot on the stick. And actually, I don't even know what that does in Minecraft, but you get the idea of it. The point is, it's like the uber lifted, like, shining treasure, right, of the world. Who in the hecking right mind is going to be like not enticed by their wildest dreams? Seriously. That has got to be so much so that I'm not speaking proper English, that has got to be the single most dangerous tactic that I've ever seen in my life, and the most intense, subtle. Anyway, I guess that's my sign to really quickly wrap this up. So I'll just say that there will be a part 2 to this when I've collected more of my thoughts. Genuinely, I just watched the most crazy, emotional, spiritual manipulation of my life happen. And if you're a part of that, please wake up and come to and come away from that. It is so toxic. And when I tell you that this was all, it just bothers me on such a deep spiritual level, like I said, because I'm about love for real. And this was peddled as love for real. Behind the scenes is the complete opposite of love and light. It is density and darkness and toxicity, and it's shocking. And I am shook, honestly, to my core. And also, that makes me very sad for a lot of people. And I just wonder the implications and the ripples of this, if this does come to pass in the future and things. So, this has been a slightly waffly response. This has been a thoughtful response in the moment to what the heck did I just witness? What in the world did I just witness? And if you have been a victim of spiritual manipulation, comment down below, because I think that perhaps it's something that needs to get aired and spoken about a little bit. Listen, if we're out there and we have this shared trauma, you know, it's healing to acknowledge that these things happened, and that each one of us individually is not nuts and crazy. That's very, very important. So for now, if this video has been of any help, share it with anyone that you think needs to hear this message especially. Subscribe, as that helps me get the message out again to those who need to hear it. And last but not least, as I always say, if you need coaching, you can reach out here at this email address. But that is not the point of this video. Most of it is just to say, what on earth is the world? What is life? What the heck did I just witness? And hopefully I will chop this down to a slightly more manageable thing that makes a little more sense, because in the moment, just this was crazy. It was surreal to watch. It was surreal that this actually happened, and that there is no two ways of putting it. Spirit has me here making a video because they're like, no, 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 no. This cannot just keep happening and someone not say something about it. Say something, even if your voice shakes. And that's an Infinite Waters paraphrase that I love. He says, speak the truth even if your voice is shaking, and that has always stuck with me. So if you've made it this far, you're a gem. Stay tuned for the part 2 of the sort of WTF moments that I had during this call, watching this spiritual manipulation and very scary stuff happen. This weaving of people into this virtual world, and here, suck your life away into this virtual world for the rest of forever because it will give you your dream life. What happens to external reality, y'all? So again, if you've been with me for this long, thank you so much for hanging around. Have a blessed, beautiful rest of your day or night, and I will see you, beautiful cats, in the next video. Namaste, and much love. Stay healthy. Bye. Oh, how can I even say this? Not reactive. And now I don't even remember why I was saying that. I lost myself so much on the future edits of this video, for frick's sake. Speak the truth even if your voice is shaking. And what if the moon is made of cheese? But like, I'm very down to earth. I'm here with y'all. I'm living the life. I'm actually a person like y'all. Titling, and the things that were said. And this was so surreal to watch. I'm about love, for real. I am a people for the people, yes.